The envelope felt heavier than money should feel, like it carried not just cash but a decision that could either break a man completely or quietly save his soul. Rayan Qureshi stood outside the old brick apartment building, his fingers trembling as they tightened around the thick bundle inside the worn envelope. The morning sun stretched across the quiet street, indifferent to the storm inside his chest. He hadn't slept. He hadn't eaten. And yet, here he was, about to make the kind of choice that people only talk about in stories, never in real life. If you believe that even in the darkest moments kindness can still win, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Echoes the Stories. Because stories like this deserve to be felt, remembered, and passed on. Rayan hadn't always been this desperate. There was a time when his life felt stable, even hopeful. He used to wake up before sunrise, make breakfast for his daughter, and hum old songs while tying her shoelaces. His daughter, Meher, was 6 years old now, with wide curious eyes that seemed to trust the world no matter how harsh it became. She believed her father could fix anything, even when life kept proving otherwise. But everything had changed a year ago. The factory where Rayan worked shut down without warning. One day he had a job, the next he had nothing but a final paycheck and a polite apology from management. He searched tirelessly for work, construction sites, delivery services, small repair jobs, but nothing lasted long enough. Bills piled up. Rent fell behind. And slowly, quietly, life began to corner him. Every night, after putting Meher to sleep, Rayan would sit by the window and stare at the city lights, calculating numbers that never added up. He had sold his watch, then his old motorbike, then even the small television Meher loved. Each sale bought them a little more time, but time was running out. 3 months of unpaid rent. That was the number that haunted him. The building owner, Mr. Karim Ansari, was known to be strict. Not cruel, just unyielding. People said he believed rules kept the world from falling apart. Rayan had seen tenants evicted for less. And now, he was next. The envelope in his hand wasn't his. That was the truth clawing at him. The night before, Rayan had taken a temporary job unloading crates at a warehouse on the outskirts of the city. It was supposed to be simple, just hours of lifting boxes in exchange for a small payment. But sometime during the chaos, he noticed a leather bag left behind near the loading dock. No one claimed it. No one seemed to notice it. He should have ignored it. But something made him open it. Inside were neatly stacked bundles of cash. More money than he had ever seen in one place. $10,000. For a moment, just a moment, his mind betrayed him. He imagined paying the rent. Buying groceries. Getting Meher new shoes. Breathing again without fear pressing against his ribs. No one would know. That was the dangerous thought. But then Meher's face flashed in his mind. Her soft voice asking why honesty mattered. Her tiny hands holding his, trusting him completely. And just like that, the decision was made. He spent the entire night tracking down the warehouse supervisor, who eventually identified the bag as belonging to a visiting businessman. The man wasn't there anymore. He had already left the city. The supervisor shrugged, uninterested, telling Rayan to leave the bag in the office. But Rayan couldn't. Something felt wrong. So he took the bag, determined to return it properly. After several calls and hours of waiting, he finally got an address. The businessman was staying at a luxury hotel downtown. Rayan went there early in the morning, exhausted but resolute. The lobby felt like another world, polished floors, soft music, people dressed in clothes that cost more than his monthly rent. He hesitated before stepping inside, aware of how out of place he looked. But he walked to the front desk anyway. It took time, questions, suspicion, and finally verification. But eventually, the bag was returned. The businessman barely looked at him. There was no dramatic thank you. No reward. Just a brief nod and a distracted acknowledgement before he walked away, already focused on something else. Rayan left the hotel with empty hands. And an even emptier future. Now, standing outside his apartment building, reality pressed down on him harder than ever. He had done the right thing. But the right thing didn't pay rent. He climbed the stairs slowly, each step heavier than the last. The hallway smelled faintly of dust and old paint. The door to Mr. Ansari's office stood at the end, slightly ajar. Rayan knocked. His heart pounded so loudly he was sure it could be heard from inside. When he entered, Mr. Ansari looked up from his desk, his expression unreadable. He was a man in his late 50s, with sharp features and eyes that seemed to measure everything. Rayan swallowed hard and stepped forward. He explained everything. The lost money. The choice. The return. His voice cracked at times, but he didn't stop. He told the truth exactly as it was, without trying to make himself sound noble. Because it didn't feel noble. It felt terrifying. When he finished, the room fell silent. Rayan placed the empty envelope on the desk, as if it still carried weight. He didn't beg. He didn't make excuses. He just stood there, waiting. Mr. Ansari leaned back in his chair, studying him. The silence stretched so long it became unbearable. Then something unexpected happened. Mr. Ansari stood up. He walked around the desk slowly, his gaze never leaving Rayan. There was something different in his eyes now, not softness, not exactly, but something less rigid. He asked a few questions. About Meher. About the job loss. About how long they had been struggling. Rayan answered honestly. And then, in a moment that would stay with him forever, Mr. Ansari did something no one saw coming. He tore up the rent notice. Not just waived a month. Not delayed it. He erased all of it. 3 months of debt, gone in seconds. Rayan blinked, unsure if he had heard correctly. The world seemed to tilt. But Mr. Ansari wasn't finished. He told Rayan that years ago, when he was young and struggling, he had been in a similar situation. Someone had shown him unexpected kindness, and it had changed the course of his life. He had built everything he had by following rules, yes, but also by remembering that sometimes, rules needed to bend for the right reason. And today, Rayan had reminded him of that. But the biggest shock was yet to come. Mr. Ansari offered Rayan a job. Not charity. Not pity. A real job. Managing maintenance for all his properties. A stable position with a steady income. Rayan felt something break inside him, not pain, but relief so overwhelming it almost hurt. His vision blurred as he tried to process what was happening. For the first time in months, he felt like he could breathe. That evening, when Rayan returned home, Meher ran into his arms like she always did. But this time, he held her tighter, longer, as if anchoring himself to the moment. He didn't tell her everything. Not yet. He just smiled. And for the first time in a long time, it wasn't forced. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, life began to rebuild itself. There were still challenges. Healing wasn't instant. But there was stability now. There was hope. And hope changes everything. Rayan worked hard, determined to prove that the trust placed in him wasn't misplaced. He treated every task with care, every responsibility with respect. Because he understood something now that many people never do. Kindness isn't just about giving. It's about what you choose to do when no one is watching. And sometimes, the smallest decision can echo louder than the biggest sacrifice. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to like, comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. You never know whose life it might change. And before we end, here's something special. Comment below the word honesty if you believe doing the right thing is always worth it, even when it feels impossible. Because somewhere out there, someone might be standing exactly where Rayan once stood, holding an invisible envelope, facing a choice that could define everything. And maybe, just maybe, your voice could remind them what to choose. Rayan never forgot that morning. Not the fear, not the doubt, not the quiet courage it took to walk away from what could have solved everything in the short term. But more importantly, he never forgot what came after. Because sometimes, when you return what isn't yours, life finds a way to return something far greater.